Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Sockets and Sideburns. Today I want to do a few little experiments on an old throttle body that I've got to do some myth busting on some widely held beliefs of damage that may or may not occur when you clean out a throttle body. Plenty of people say you can damage them when you clean them, plenty of people say you can't, but I can't really seem to find anyone actually testing out these ideas or providing any evidence one way or the other. So I guess it's going to be down to us to have a go and find out for ourselves. So there's two main ways that it's said you can damage these electronic throttle bodies when cleaning them. First is the cleaners themselves, maybe through choice of cleaner, say if you use something that's a little bit too aggressive, but it's mainly suggested that the cleaner can get past these seals at the end of the shaft here and make its way into your electronics on the underneath there. The second thing that's floating around is damage by manually manipulating the throttle plate. So I've thought up a few little experiments that we can try and do to prove or disprove these ideas either way. I use the words experiments loosely here. I'm no scientist and this garage isn't a lab. This throttle has done about 80,000 miles, fairly well used, so the seal should be nicely worn in. You're hardly going to be cleaning one that's brand new. First up, I want to see if the cleaner will make its way past the seal on the shaft here and get into the electronics. Now, it's not going to be easy to see on the other side, but I'll do my best and get a second camera in here. I don't want to try and pull off any of this gear or spring assembly, as I could end up damaging the seal and that's going to skew our result. We would see any real amount of liquid getting through here though anyway. I'm going to do this test with throttle and carb cleaner. I'm going to use throttle cleaner first because this is actually what you should be using to clean these throttle bodies. There are some carb cleaners that can damage seals, so I'll be using that second. I'm going to spray continuously for about 10 seconds pretty much straight at the throttle shaft seal area. Normally when cleaning you wouldn't be holding it up this way so that it can leak down or spraying this long in one area. I'm basically simulating the most extreme scenario. After I've sprayed it, I'm going to leave it for about 2 minutes and see if anything makes its way through down underneath here. Okay, so throttle valve cleaner first. Right, that's about 4 minutes now. I've actually left it a bit longer than I intended. Let's have a look, see if anything has made its way through. I am not seeing any evidence of anything. It's bone dry. Can't see anything around the spring. It might be a little bit difficult to see. Okay, I'm just trying to get a slightly better view down in here, just so you guys can see. There is absolutely no evidence whatsoever of any liquid making its way past down into there. I mean, that's 4 minutes sat. I would think if it was going to come through, it would have come through by now. I know you probably can't see too well in here, but I can see just fine. So I would say that throttle cleaner has passed that test. I've waited a good 10 minutes now. Still absolutely no evidence of any moisture making its way past and getting into that electronics area on the underside. So I think we can call that right. Carb cleaner up next. Interestingly, I've had access to the Renault manual, which is the car this throttle came from, which does specifically state that carb cleaner will damage the seals. However, it also says that you should remove the seals before you clean them. Obviously, these seals are not meant to be removed, so I assume they're referring to the airbox to throttle seal, which can sometimes come off with the throttle body rather than remaining on the airbox. Okay, 10 seconds down in here again, and I'll give it 4 minutes as I did with the throttle cleaner to see if we can get any moisture to pass through here. Okay, that's been 4 minutes again with carb cleaner. Let's see, we can see on the underside here, same exact, again, I'm not seeing any evidence whatsoever of any moisture. Okay, I just thought I'd try and get a little bit of a close-up down in here. It's really hard to get some light down in there, but there is absolutely no moisture made its way round. Dry as a bone. Okay, next up is damage by manually moving the throttle plate in order to clean it. Now, if you manually move the plate with it still connected to the car, then it is possible to damage it or cause a calibration issue or a fault code. Cleaning them on the car is a terrible idea for so many reasons, not least of which is safety. I would never advise anyone cleans a throttle body while it's mounted on the car. Always disconnect the battery and remove them to clean. Now, once the throttle is off the car, this spring is then taking over to hold the position the same as when the car is off. This spring-loaded position is where the car will leave it when you turn the car off, and it will be the same position that it returns to every time you move it by hand. Just like that, it's springing back to that exact same position. Renault's manual clearly states that you can hold the valve open manually after removing it from the car. So the only way you could damage this is if you pushed so hard that you damaged either a stop or the spring itself. I'm going to go ahead and say that damaging a stop is basically impossible. I'm thinking as long as you're not going crazy on this, there's no way you can really damage it and upset the spring position or any of the stop positions. Now what I'm going to do is measure the rest position with a caliper. Then I'm going to push it as hard as I can by hand in both directions and see whether this changes the rest position or not. After that, I'm going to go full thermonuclear on it by prying it as hard as I can and see if that will even get the rest position to change or not. Okay, so I'm going to try and be as precise as possible when measuring this, but it's not exactly an easy surface to get an accurate measurement off. I'm going to put a little mark on the throttle valve so I can try and get in the same place every single time. Okay, we'll see what the resting position is normally. .3 mil. Let's just see if we can repeat that. .27. That's close enough for what I want to do. So, I did say by hand, as hard as we can. So, I can't imagine any reason why you would be doing this when cleaning it, however. That's in the open. Let's do it closed now. Let it really snap back as well under that spring pressure. Yeah. And one more time. Open. And a snap back again. Right, let's measure that. Okay, we had 15.3 and 15.27. Let's see what we have now. .28. Let's go again. .29, 15.28. So it doesn't appear to have been any damage whatsoever taken place there, and that's as hard as I can do this by hand. So let's move on to the big guns now. I'm going to bring this round. Let's see how we can get under here and really crank on it. Okie dokie. And for good measure, let's just push it as hard as we can in the other direction using this. Right. If that don't break it, nothing will. Measure now. $15.31. 15.27. One more time. Obviously I'm not going to be able to get in the exact same spot every single time, which is probably why we're getting some slightly different results each time. 15.3. So I'm going to say that again, that spring rest position is in exactly the same place. So I think we can safely say you can't damage these by manually manipulating the throttle plate. Lastly, I want to see what kind of seal we've actually got in here, and also I want to put it through some long-term exposure to both the throttle cleaner and the carb cleaner just to see how it's actually going to fare up. So first we're going to actually have to get it out. Now I'm sure these can be taken apart nicely if you have the time or inclination, but since this one is headed straight for destination bin after this, I really don't. Now these screws holding the throttle plate to the actual shaft are usually Loctited in or peened over on the other side so they don't get ingested into the engine. I highly doubt we're going to get these out normally, but we'll give it a go. Nope. The other one by any chance? Stripped. Who could have called that? Right, hole making machine time. We'll just ramp this up stage by stage, see how far we end up having to go. Just try a screw extractor first. Let's get a number 1. See if that's enough. Nope, don't think so. Nope. Okay. It's not going to come out the easy way. Fine by me. And that's one right through. Let's get the other one. Well, there isn't much left. Let's Let's see about getting these out now. Let's get the last one out. God, that one really is in there. There we go. Well, that's all that's left of them. So if anyone's worried about them managing to come loose and get into your engine, I think you can sleep fine at night. No way they're backing out. Okay, with them out, I'm guessing this throttle plate just tappies right through one way. Right, is that going to let go now? Don't think so. What I'm thinking is there's another retention of some kind under this cap here. Probably a circlip if I had to guess. So we're going to have to get that out next. Okay, I've got no idea what we're going to find under here, but we'll just try and drill through and see what's what. Definitely something under there. Ah, well. If there is a circlip in there, I think we're just going to be able to knock it straight out anyway, because that is moving. Might. Hey, there she goes. Let's see what we've got left inside there. I can't see anything that looks like a seal still pressed into the throttle body itself, unless, just give me a minute to investigate. Okay, so basically what we've got here, this is your shaft that came out with the spring assembly on it, and then we've got a bearing. Now I've had a good look down inside here, inside where the shaft was actually seated, and there is nothing else in here that would have been a seal. This bit here, that is just, as you can see, solid metal. I'll just pop this spring off so you can see a bit better, if I can manage it. There we go. That bearing sitting up against there, so if I refit that, which I can't do anymore because that's a very tight press fit in there, so it's just that there. So it's supporting the shaft, allowing the shaft to rotate, obviously, and I assume doing all of the sealing work as well. So what I'm going to do to test the cleaners on the seal, which now we know is actually a bearing in here, there is no actual just dedicated seal. Either it's the press fit of the metal on the bearing against the actual throttle body itself that's sealing it, or it's got to be the actual little bearing seal itself. So we'll pop that out of there. I've had to cut that one obviously just to make it easier to get it off. Now I will just say this throttle body was cleaned out twice, I think, while it was actually mounted to a car, as in I took it off 2 times and used cleaners on it to get it clean then, and obviously it's just been soaked now. There doesn't appear to be any damage whatsoever to these 2 seals so far. Red will be throttle cleaner, black will be carb cleaner. I'll leave these for 24 hours. Try and get that in the same way up. Leave that for 24 hours and we'll see what we get. And now we wait. Okay, that's 24 hours later now. Aside from any obvious damage like cracking or pitting, I'm also going to be looking to see whether the seals have hardened up or swollen in this cleaner. I did do a check to see how pliable these seals were before I immersed them in the cleaners. That is to say, I just bent them a few times with my hands like that to see how easily they might then crack. The answer was not very pliable at all. They felt like if you folded them in half, they would just split straight away. Alright, let's have a look at the one that's immersed in the throttle cleaner first. Now we can see in the cap here, there doesn't seem to be any residue. That what's in there already, I think that was just from the cap being dirty. But it doesn't seem like the seal has come apart, degraded or anything like that. Like it's just falling apart in there. A little bit harder to see on the carb cleaner one. You might just have to take my word for it. But that's the same deal. Doesn't seem to be falling apart inside there. So now I'll take the throttle cleaner one out, hook it out with a pick. Let's have a look. You can see there where it's got that bend in the middle. That was from me just seeing how pliable it was before I put them in. There's no real pitting or any kind of obvious damage that you can see on the seal there. It doesn't appear to be swollen, and I'd say we're looking at the same level of pliability, which is not a great deal, as we had before we immersed it in here. So I don't think any real damage or change has occurred to this seal whatsoever, and that's 24 hours immersed in this, which is just an extreme scenario. Alright, we'll check the carb cleaner one over now as well. See if this has fared any different. Again, obviously I had to snip it to get it off the shaft the easy way. But apart from that, again, I'm not seeing any swelling, cracking, it's not flaking apart. Same sort of level of pliability as it had before it went in. So it seems to me both carb cleaner and throttle cleaner don't really seem to have any effect on these whatsoever. So despite our very best efforts, we've been unable to damage this throttle. I hope this puts some people's mind at ease who may have been a bit nervous about cleaning their throttle body out. It seems to me that all these tales of damaging them by cleaning them are just that. We've certainly disproved all the things that we've tested today at any rate. Okay, if you've enjoyed this video or it's helped you out at all, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more videos from my channel in the future, don't forget to subscribe. You can find me over on Instagram as well, @Sockets and Sideburns. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.